Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty traders, so I want to finish off today with a bit of a story, and hopefully this story of me losing 50% of my account in one night. Hopefully my story here resonates with you and gives you a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel if you are going through a hard time with your trading right now. And so I want to share this story with you because it was one of the most lowest points in my trading career that I ever got to. I just lost $250,000 in the markets. I lost my house, I lost my car, I had to move back with my mother and father-in-law, and I literally I was on the verge of bankruptcy, right? Because I actually borrowed a lot of money from us all too. So a lot of that $250,000 I actually borrowed. And so what happened was I moved back with my mother and father-in-law. Now this is going back probably 13 years ago now, 14 years ago now when this happened. I've been trading for the markets for 16 years. And the thing that happened is that there was a period of time there where I was trading really well when I first started. Now, was beginner's luck or I don't know. But I'm just like, oh my goodness, I know I can do this. I know I can do this. I know I can do this. I know I can trade really well. I just know I can. And I just said, I just need to get some more money, right? And so I talked to my father-in-law and I said, I just need to get started somehow. And so he lent me $5,000. So he lent me $5,000 to actually start trading the markets with. And here I am thinking, man, I don't even know how I'm going to pay my bills. My first son is just coming now. My first son's just coming along the way right now. He's, like, how am I even going to afford to actually move me and my wife out? Because it was actually she was my wife at the time. And I'm just thinking, man, here I am. I'm supposed to be the man of the house. We just lost everything. I got a son along the way. I just, oh my goodness, and now like in 9 months, I've got to figure this shit out because it's like I have a wife and now a son along the way who's going to depend on me. And I'm thinking, damn. And so I borrowed $5,000 from my father-in-law, and then I started trading all night. And so all night for me was trading the E-mini S&P 500 on real short-term charts, 1 minute charts, 5 minute charts, and even all the way down to tick charts. If you've ever traded tick charts before, guys, what they call transaction charts. So it's not based on time. A 1 minute chart, every single bar is painted based on a bar, but a transaction chart. So I was always trading roughly, I think it was a 49 transaction chart. Don't know why 49, but it was just 49. So that means every time 49 transactions went through, so one transaction could be 100 contracts, next transaction could be 2 contracts. But as long as there was 49 transactions gone through, that would paint the bar, and then the next bar would start. Imagine those charts, guys, with like FOMC, right? Those charts just go nuts because there's like 2,000 transactions go like really, really quickly, and suddenly you see just a massive pain of bars. It's quite a sight to see. So anyway, so I started trading all night again, and I just went back to what I knew and started trading. And I was just like, man, I've got to make this work. And that was a big mistake, right? It's like, I've got to start making money now. Oh my goodness. I have a son along the way and my wife depends on me. Oh my goodness. I've got to pay that money back. Some of that money back that I actually, or pay the money back that I actually borrowed. And because I was putting so much pressure on myself, guess what? I started just taking anything I just thought that was going to be a good trade. It's like, oh, this looks like it's a good trade, and then, which is a big mistake, right? It's just looking back now, it was one of the worst mistakes I did because I'm just like, I've got to get in, and by me rushing it and forcing it and just like, oh well, this looks like it's going to go up, I've got to get in now. And then I started rationing and reasoning of what, like, oh, well, even if I just risk, $100 out of this, that's okay. If I just risk $100 and then the $100 turns into a $200 or $300 loss, and then I try to like, well, if I can just get back to break even, and then I have another loss, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, and like, then suddenly I doubled up on my risk. I'm like, oh my goodness, now I'm actually $1,000 in the hole out of my $5,000 trading account. Man, oh man, if I can just get back to break even, if I double up and I just get a small, if I can just get a small profit at this one, I'm gonna be back to break even, and then that'll be a losing trade as well too. Meanwhile, I wasn't focusing on any system or any plan. I was just getting in because it just looked like a good idea, and I was all over the place. And I remember because I stayed up all night trading the futures markets. E-mini, S&P, and even like I think that even like the European markets and stuff like that as well too, Nasdaq, those sort of things. And I remember the sun come up, and I'd been up all night trading the markets. And again, guys, this is when I first started. I had no idea what I was doing, and I remember looking at my account thinking, "Oh my goodness, I just blew 50% of my account up." And I actually went to bed just in tears. And my ex-wife's like, oh yeah, she's my ex-wife now, but my wife at the time, she was just like, what happened? I'm just like, oh, nothing, it's okay. And she started talking to me, and I'm just like, I just blew up 50% of my account. And she's like, okay. And she's like, she's like, you can do it, you can do it though. And I'm like, okay, well, I appreciate your support there. But I remember her getting up to go into work. I think she was working like at Red Rooster or something like that, for a managing job. And I remember just going to bed that morning and just absolutely just in tears and thinking, I really, really, really need to get this thing going. I really need to get this thing working. And I was just like, because all I was seeing was a failed husband. Am I going to be a failed father as well, since my son's coming on the way? And then I look at my wife at the time, and we're in a spare bedroom on an old mattress on the floor. That's what we slept in. We actually slept in an old mattress on the floor. There wasn't even a bed for us. It was like, there's a mattress, you can stay there. It was like, oh my goodness. I got to really, 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 really figure this thing out. I'm just like, I want this so bad. And I've gone from losing all this money, $250,000 in hole, to then just borrowing money and blowing up 50% of the account. I'm thinking, I gotta figure this thing out. And that's been unfortunate. That's at the time I thought, you know what, I just don't want to do this anymore. Like, maybe it's just not for me. Maybe I just can't do this. And so it was at that time, guys, that I was very fortunate that I got access to via my broker. He said, listen, there's this guy, he's a private trader. He's a really, really good trader, makes millions of dollars a year. I'll give you his email. You should shoot him an email and see if he can help you out. And that was actually the turning point for me, because I showed him the email, and then we went back onto forwards. He didn't respond to me the first time, but I kept sort of pestering him, and then something he started helping me out with what I was doing, and focusing on what he was done, because he blew up his account as well too. He lost $500,000, which is pretty much all he had in one night. Trading the markets. So he was just like, John, you lost $250,000. Okay, cool. You know what? I did that as well too. But here I am now, and I'm making between $5 and $10 million a year. He said, so you can come back from this. He said, let me just show you what you need to do. And, and obviously the big thing that I was doing was that I was all over the place. There was no rhyme or reasons of why I was getting into something, or no proven plan behind me. Because he said, John, he said, if you've got a really good trading system with a good win-loss ratio, but you stick to it 100% of the time, you could take a $5,000 trading account and grow that. He said, but you could take $1 million trading account and you'd just be all over the place like a lunatic, and just taking anything and everything, not because it meets a plan or meets a system, but you'll blow that up. He said, I've done that before. He said, so welcome to the club. If you really want this is now your test. How bad do you want this? And he said, if you really want this, then I can start to help you get back on track, but it's going to take you some time. And so basically what he did, he started sharing me the way that he views the market, the way he trades the market. And what I realized is that he was no smarter than me. And what I realized was that the only difference between him and I is that he was very disciplined at following a plan. And he wouldn't do anything. He'd be happy sitting there for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks and not do anything until a trade came up. Here I was thinking I needed to make money every week because I had rent to pay. It was the wrong thing to do. That's not how trading works. If I want to be part of this world called trading, I must understand the laws of trading, and that simply says you don't trade when you want. You trade when you trade when everything's when the plans are met. So that means if your plan, a pattern that you're trading doesn't appear for 4 weeks or 5 weeks or even 2 months, then you simply don't trade. That's your job is to wait until you have to. Discipline, consistency, and patience, or consistency, discipline, and patience. And patience being the big one. And he said, John, they're the things you need to work on. He said, it's not the market that's getting you. It's you that's getting you. He said, but if you really want to be part of this ball called the markets, then you must start to focus on those consistency. He said, well, you got the consistency part, right? You're showing up every day, which is good. He said, but more the discipline and patience part. Discipline to just focusing on just one pattern, one system that you believe in. And then patience, just your job is not to do anything until you set a pattern. I don't care how long you have to wait. Your job is not to do anything. And it was hard changing that, right? Because I went from just trading all over the place to then just trading, to then start trading, not trading, not taking any trades. And some weeks there'll be no trades, and some weeks there'll be heaps of trades, 2 or 3 trades. And then some weeks I might have a trade every single day, and then I might go 2 weeks without a trade. And this was even trading intraday charts, 1 minute charts, 5 minute charts, 15 minute charts, right? Watching them, spending 10, 12 hours a day trading it. But once I started to realize that, oh my goodness, this plan I'm trading works most of the time, and it's got nothing to do with the trading system, right? It's got everything to do with how well I'm actually sticking to it. And that's the biggest thing that I had learned, that people that do well out of trading, it's not because they're smart, they've just got the emotional control to not do anything and understand the game of trading. And that is that my job is to wait. I'm actually paid to wait. I wait until I get that really good setup. And if I can do that throughout this year, not only am I going to crush it, but I'm going to do it so well out of it. And that's how my mentor went from like blowing up $500,000 in one night, wiping himself out, to now making that per month plus, right? $500,000 to $1 million per month, easy. Per month. But that's taken him roughly, from the time he did that, he's been trading for 25 years, the time he did that, it's taken him roughly 15 years to get to, from a $5,000 trading account to now making that much. But it's taken time, but because he stuck at it, and because he stuck at the system, that's when things started well. And that's when everything started to turn around for me, and I started to do really, really, really well from trading, because I realized that, okay, if I want to do this thing called trading, I must start to abide by the laws. If I want to become good at this thing, right? If I want to become this thing called trading, I have to start to be a good trader. And if I'm not a good trader, I may get lucky every now and then to make money, but I'm not going to be long-term successful. And that's what my mentor always said to me. And I always say to my private clients, I don't care if you make $1 million in one trade. All I care about is what can you do, what can you do repeatedly for the rest of your life, so you can feed your family and never have to worry about money again. That's what I'm all about. And that's words from my mentor. I don't care what you can do right now, John. You break the rules and you make a lot of money, then that's actually not good. All I care about is what can you do for the rest of your life, so you can never have to worry about money ever again. And that's when it started to click for me. And then I went from not only losing money, but I'm making money. And then before you know it, like that story about when I was with my mother and father-in-law, 9 months later, I actually paid all my mother and father-in-law back for all the rent that I actually owed them. We moved out, and things started picking up from there. And I went, and then I started doing like 30 within a few years of doing that. After starting there, I started doing like 30,000 a month, and then went to like 80,000 in a few months there, and over 100 grand, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? $1 million, whatever. But it all started, but then that what I just said there, guys, was many years ahead, right? Many years timeline from starting to then growing and growing and growing. And the big thing is that, and that's where I am right now, is that as long as I just wait for my pattern and the system that I trade, that I know that most of the time I'm going to make a profit, and sometimes I'm going to make a loss, and that's just the way it is. But most of the time I'm going to make a profit. And when that happens, I know that I know by the end of this year, I'm going to be up. But I do know that I have two choices here. One, I can start to be consistent amongst the system that I'm trading. Any system out there, it's not the system. It's more me being consistent in that system. Or I don't. If I don't, I may be okay. I may make money every now and then. But long term, I'm not going to continue losing money, because I just lost $250,000 from doing that shit. Then I lost 50% of my trading account from doing that. And then as things started to pick up and I had my mentor there, things started to turn around. And so I hope this story really helps you out, guys. If you are in the midst of going through a tough time, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. But it does come back down to, like, if you want to be part of this world called trading, we must understand what goes into a trader. And all it comes down to is find something in the markets, a pattern. If you're a trader, find a pattern that you believe in, and then wait for that only. And then when you do take the trades, some of them are going to be losses. Most will be profits, or depending on your system anyway. And then rinse, recycle, repeat. And if you take 20 of those trades, you might have 4 losses, 16 wins. And at the end of the day, you make money. And if you can do that, just find one thing that you believe in and wait for that, then you can start to really, really, really kick ass and take names. And that's when everything started to turn around for me, guys, because I don't trade a lot. I'm not a very active trader. I don't trade a lot because I just wait for my system. Sometimes I don't trade for a whole month. That's okay. Guess what? Because if I do trade, I'm not going to be losing money. And then when the good trades do come up, guess what? I'm taking them and things are doing really, really well. So I really hope this helps you out today, guys. If you are going through a hard time, I hope this story really resonates with you. And I hope this gives you a bit of confidence that if you are going through a hard time, that you can do it. We just need to start to abide by the rules. And that is, find something that you're consistent at. You can do really, really, really well at trading. You just got to find something. There is no perfect system that's going to make you money every time. But if we understand the laws of being a good trader, that is, find a pattern that you believe in that has a good win-loss ratio and wait for that only. Every time you take it, some are going to be losses, most are going to be profits. If you can do that for the whole year, that's how trading is really done, and that's how you can do really, really well from trading.